want to carry anything along, what you were planning to do, we have storage under the seat. Can I open it or anything?
Yes, no, there's not.
Nothing? Okay. So there's
Whose head is that?
Shit. No, there's place for one full face helmet and a few odds and ends. And there's more storage space in here, at least if you don't put the charging cable in. That does take it up. We have, I mentioned yesterday, the accessories available, top case for additional storage space, higher windshield and also a higher seat. So when you ride and you feel maybe not so comfortable with the wind and weather protection, with the seat height, with the knee angle, have a test sit on the other scooter before you ride anything too negative about it, and test it, because especially for taller people above the Mediterranean average, the seat might indeed be on the low side. When you want to start the scooter, you switch it on and actually turn it off once more. Listen, click. These are the high voltage relays connecting. Before you turn on the ignition, there is no high voltage outside the big aluminum battery housing. The vehicle is constructed as an intrinsically safe vehicle, as we went into detail yesterday. Now it is ignition on, not yet in running mode. We see the display lit up. To put it into running mode, the procedure is with every scooter: brake lever and press. Nothing happens. Did I forget something? We have, as on the combustion engine scooters, the brake, parking brake. So if the side stand is out, just can't move the scooter. This is both parking brake and it interrupts the ready state of the engine. So once you have parked the vehicle, you can't put it in operation. Now we see display changes, tells you ready with the arrow straight ahead. If you happen to feel uncomfortable when riding, you feel something, oh, I've never had that before, you can always, as on a combustion engine, press the kill switch. One thing that is not going to happen, killing the engine is not going to block your rear wheel. Even if you press the kill switch, ABS is fully operational, so you can give it a full stop and will come to a safe standstill. But these are not the prototypes that we had 2 years ago. These are the series production scooters, so we don't anticipate any of that kind, I think, also from the experience of the last weeks. We have some graphics, some displays, which I think we don't know from combustion engine vehicles. The most notable is here in the middle: charge and e-power. E-power gives you the reading, how much energy are you taking out of the battery. You can simulate a little bit. As soon as you activate throttle, you see how the blue dots move forward and they show you how your consumption. The left-hand side, charge, shows you how much energy are you recuperating. We recuperate energy every time we activate brakes. There's an additional brake pressure sensor in the system compared to combustion engine scooters, which as soon as it measures, okay, braking is on, adds an engine brake, simulated one. The engine turns generator and feeds power back into the battery. The second moment we recuperate is when we just leave the throttle and coast along. Then also we have an artificial engine drag, which feeds energy back into the battery. But that is depending on the riding modes, to which I will come in a moment. At the moment you see the recuperation indicator is full of red dots. That is because the battery level is at 100%, and it's kind of logical. If the battery is completely full, it can't take any more energy. That means recuperation at the moment can't be taken to the maximum. That means also that this artificial drag torque, this engine brake, you will start to feel that after about 8 to 10 kilometers to a stronger extent. At the moment it's not very pronounced. Riding modes. At the moment it is set to Eco Pro. Normally the starting mode should actually be road. They can be switched by means of the right hand button while riding anytime, and they differ in the amount of engine energy recovery and of acceleration power which they admit. Road is the standard modus. You have the full acceleration potential, and we will see that as soon as the red dots have disappeared, you have about half the strength of energy recuperation available. To select a different mode, you have to press the button once to get into the selecting mode, and then you toggle until you have reached the mode you want to go into. And just leave the button. The modes will switch within 2 seconds, and especially the differences in the engine brake, they will transit smoothly, so there's not a hard transition from one mode to the other. The sail mode is something very specific to electric vehicles. You have no engine brake at all. It feels a little bit as if rolling along on a combustion engine vehicle in neutral or with the clutch pulled. The difference is, once you want to accelerate again, you don't have to engage a clutch and have this. You can just accelerate smoothly from the rolling situation. One word of warning: if you do that going downhill after our coffee stop, take it slowly at first, because it takes some getting used to. Next one is the dynamic mode. There you have full engine brake. That means full energy recovery and full acceleration power. In urban traffic, that more or less puts you in the situation that you can follow the traffic without touching the brake levers, because the engine brake is strong enough to decelerate. I find that one of the most practical modes in everyday riding. And last but not least, the Eco Pro mode also has full energy recovery, but has a limited amount of current that I can take out of the battery. That means your acceleration is slowed down. That is in order to maximize range. To be honest, the biggest factor concerning range is not any mode, it's your right hand. So this can help in having an energy efficient ride, in maximizing your range, but the biggest factor is, what do I do with the throttle grip? The green bar indicates the level of battery energy. Now we are at 100%, we have 100 kilometers range. Look for yourself how many kilometers, how many percentage of battery power. Until now we have always had the experience that it very much corresponds 1% of battery power, 1 kilometer distance ridden. The range indication below works pretty much the same way as from combustion scooters or motorcycles. It is an algorithm that calculates your remaining range depending on consumption over the last kilometers. That means depending on route profile, depending on your riding style. That means that if you just roll along normally, it will be more or less the same as the percentage. If you go steep uphill, full gas, it will drop dramatically. If you roll downhill and recuperate more, it will rise again. If in doubt, the absolutely reliable value is the percentage of battery power. That is can be measured. Basically, the values are not different from what you have on a combustion engine with the fuel gauge and the range indication. Only here it's much more exact. You have down to the last percentage the remaining amount of energy you have left in your vehicle. That's something that we normally don't see. Remaining functions here on the handlebar. We have the board computer, which you know from all the switches are those that you know from our other models. Board computer, trip counter, daytime running light, which actually is standard on the scooter, heated grips on the right hand side. Doesn't look like we're going to need them today. And one interesting thing which Eddie mentioned yesterday, we have a reverse aid.
We've moved.
Okay. I would have checked anyway. So to use that, press the button and you see this display changes to R and the arrow backwards. And then you just activate the throttle and roll backwards at maximum walking speed. So race backwards is not possible. Once you leave the button, it turns to forward riding again. So we have a quite complete standard equipment on the scooter. We have, of course, ABS as standard. I already mentioned daytime running light, reverser, riding modes. One thing that is also very new on the scooter is the torque control assist system. This combines traction control functions. I mentioned yesterday we have a lot of torque, so it makes sense to harness that in case the conditions get a bit slippery or in cities with cobblestones and rails and whatever. But we, contrary to combustion engines, if the recuperation is very strong, it might also happen that the rear wheel locks for the sheer power of the engine brake, and in that case normally you don't have ABS because you're not working on the brakes. So this system also works as a control for the blocking of the rear wheel in case of recuperation. It combines TCA, torque control assist, combines ASC and ABS functionalities. That's something that we also have, as far as I know, it's a first on an electric vehicle. I haven't seen that anywhere else yet.